Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday. Today is September 19th, and we are staring down the barrel of the autumnal equinox, at least on the northern hemisphere, Mabon for pagan folks. And it's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite Wiccan pagan holidays of the year because it's a true harvest festival. I know they say Lunasa is in August 1st, but it never feels like it. It's always so hot still. So this is where you get all your pumpkin spice flavorings and all that good stuff. So for today, I wanted to talk about balance with you because the equinoxes, both the fall and the spring, are days that are perfectly in balance before we tip on either side because we live on a wobbly little world. And how good for us, how interesting that we get to do all these fun things with it. Um, so I'm going to talk about the balance of the year and how balance is reflected in tarot. And then I'm going to take you through a guided justice meditation where you get to meet the archetype or personification of justice and see what she has to say for you. So chill, relax, comment in the comments section. Doesn't look like anyone's here yet, and that is okay. It is early. I know people are going to be coming in. But let me just remind you that my seminal course, Speaker of the Deck, is coming up. That is October 7th is when we launch. And this is 8 courses that are pre-recorded, like that are probably 10 to 12 hours in length. You get PowerPoints, you get journals, you get homework, you get assignments, and then we meet on Zoom Live once a week during the course to just practice together in community what you have learned. So yeah, that's what it's going to be like. And if you have my book, where is it? There you are. Will you give me a reading? If you're a fan of my book, you'll love this course because it's based on a lot of the principles I teach in the book, but with real hands-on learning. So if you're trying to level up with tarot, wanting to be a little more fluent, a little more of an intuitive reader and not second guess your messages, this is the place to be with me. You can find that there, Speaker of the Deck, under my website, and there it is. So I hope you've been having a great start of your September so far. And so let's get into balance. So with the autumnal equinox coming, again, it is the day of complete balance between we start tipping towards the dark side or the light side, depending. And as I've been doing a lot of these deep dives with tarot history, and if you're curious about that, it's go through my channel here. There's a ton of that. You will find that. Well, I went to notice like years ago that really at heart. Um, sorry, I keep scooching. I have some ice on my back. Um, that at heart, the tarot more than anything just has so many mega themes of balance and imbalance, like over and over again in many different ways. That balance just isn't the few that you think are obvious. There's a lot outside of that. And as I was doing that tarot historical deep dive, I was like, wow, this is not a coincidence because tarot, the major arcana, comes from, high medieval thought, high medieval what people thought of the world, how the world was put together, and so the more we understand that, the more we can get deeper in relationship with our cards. So the way medieval high thought was um, a blending of Catholicism and Aristotle and the Greek philosophers, and to a lesser extent, some folk meanings of the time. But when you had a medieval person, let's say you were sick. I'm sick, I've got the cough, whatever. They had no concept yet of disease vectors or viruses or bacteria or anything of that nature, but what they believed was if you're sick, then you're probably out of alignment, you're out of balance. One of your four humors are not in balance, therefore you have taken illness. So balance was a key concept. It was called the golden mean. And the golden mean is that beautiful middle place between a deficiency of something and then an excess of something. And the tarot is so concerned with this balance piece that we see. In particular, because the thing is that the balance is a key concept, and how do we kind of align ourselves to that golden mean or balance? So that's that, Greek philosophical portion, and then you have the Catholic overlay over that, which is that there is a divine order to everything as given by God, and that divine order means that you also have to be in order as a human spirit in order to have that, to be part of the divine order. And so they did this through the virtues and the vices. And tarot was pretty much conceptualized out of the mystery and miracle plays that were happening in medieval towns all throughout the 1400s. So the idea of using virtue as a way to calibrate yourself and make sure that you are within the divine mean or the golden mean was one of the main conceptual and philosophical ways of looking at the world in medieval time. And so I want to talk about that with you and show you how that is really throughout most of tarot. So let me get my my document camera up. So the first one we're going to look at is the High Priestess, and I see the High Priestess as prudence or divine wisdom. She's one of the four, even though she's not she's called the High Priestess and not divine wisdom, but I think this is who they meant. And so if we have divine wisdom, prudence, which is the amalgamation of logic and intuition and foresight and planning and all of that good stuff, it is possible to have an excess of prudence and a deficiency of prudence. So one of the ways they looked at that was that prudence was if there was a deficiency of divine wisdom, you would have recklessness, which we see here as the Fool. Let me see, I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. So we would have the Fool as a deficiency of that access. Let me hide this so we got a little more room. But then if we had too much prudence, too much divine wisdom, though I don't know if that's even possible, but this is the way they saw it, you would get either cunningness or overcautiousness. So a wisdom that you're using in a way that is not to the betterment of others and just for yourself, but also overcautiousness, that you never make any mistakes, you never take any risks whatsoever. And so the idea of how do I balance between these two to make sure I'm in the golden mean is what prudence brings. You also have, I'm going to do justice last, but you also have force. That was another cardinal virtue. And force takes you to either what is too much, cowardice. So I kind of put like 8 of cups, like walking away from something. There's not one really great cowardice card in tarot that I felt really evoked this. And then you have what is an excess of force? Well, that's recklessness. That it's just too much power, not being in alignment with anything else. So as you see, like everything within tarot is definitely about the balance of these humors or balance of these aspects in order to live a holy life as a human being. Then you also have temperance. So temperance itself, what I was saying earlier about the humors, temperance is very concerned about the humors, which is the energies of the body and how that could cause physical problems as well as moral problems. Like there's a lot of conversation about your morality. In a way, it doesn't feel like we definitely have nowadays in the same way. But that was really important, was to temper everything. And so if we have a deficiency of temperance, we come to gluttony or avarice, or just you're too much in your pleasure, right? You're not in the middle. But then the other side of that would be extreme self-denial. So it seems like a pretty wise system, doesn't it? I think it's pretty nice. And then finally, you have justice. So justice. So cool fact about justice was always not blindfolded until about the late 1600s, because it was a joke, actually. Like someone was making a commentary about the injustice of a situation. And so they put a blindfold on justice. And it kind of stuck from there. And it became that justice should be impartial when it wasn't the original intent. I thought that was really interesting when I learned about that. She has the scales. And also that harks back to there is a Greek goddess of justice, but there's also Anubis, who he's not the only one. I think there's another Egyptian god that will weigh your soul or your heart against a feather for its lightness. But even justice has to be in the golden mean. So justice, if there is a deficiency of justice, then you have injustice, obviously. And then if you have too much justice, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of cards that could really, really go for this. Um, like you have rigidity. So I was like, oh, that could be the emperor sometimes, or even the Hierophant. But I chose two of swords, like just really rigid. So really rigid, nothing can really move. And so those are kind of the main ones when we talk about balance. But tarot has a lot of other really cool balance cards that you may not think of as balance cards, but they really, really are. For example, like if you even just look at a lot of the imagery, you will see that there's often traditionally, there's a lot of balance within the art. So you have the World card and you have Wheel of Fortune. And you would think Wheel of Fortune is the least balanced card there is, but there's a balance within its imbalance. And if you look at the art, you can see like you have something on four corners. And traditionally with Wheel of Fortune, you would have someone at the top, the bottom, and on either side. So even within that chaotic system, there's a system. You also have the Moon, which I think is very balanced. You have the wolf and the dog. You have the two towers. Then at the bottom, you have the lobster, and at the top, you have the moon. So if you look, it's a very balanced card in the middle. And it's an interesting thing. It really harkens back to medieval art, because modern art typically doesn't draw like this. Like modern art, I've been learning how to paint, and art never you never put things right in the middle like that. You just don't. It's usually off to the side, like there's called the rule of thirds. But tarot often doesn't play by that rule book because it comes from medieval art, which was very much about proportionality, centering, and things having balance in the composition with the centerpiece. So that's another card that has a balance element. You also have, like, I felt like the star was very balanced. You have the star, the woman, two trees. You have the pitchers, one pouring on the ground, one pouring in the water. There's a feeling of, and she seems balanced in her physical form. So that seemed like balance to me. And so there are things that you would think are traditionally balanced, and then other things that just have a sense of balance within them. Like this one, it's pretty balanced, even though it's a card that often means kind of a controlled chaos. Here, this image I think is not very good to show balance. Like the other images of Six of Pentacles it looks more balanced, but it is about balance because he's holding the scales. Like he has excess. He has to give that excess to those who are deficient to balance his moral character. I also felt like the Lovers cards were also pretty balanced, and that makes sense. You have the male and the female energies coming together for all their differences, but working in tandem. Like that guy right there. Divine order. Divine order is something like this, the two lovers, right? Male and female for right or wrong. This is a medieval thought, but then you have, Raphael, I believe it's no, wait, no, Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel, overseeing the saying that this is divine order. This is what's right. This is balanced. And so you see that in other ways too. In the Hierophant, there's like a balancing. If you look, there's a pillar on either side of him. He's got two monks on either side of him, and then he has two waterfalls on either side of him. So there's this like repetition of art that you see. So what you can do as a reader, this is something that is a line item that you can look at as a reader and go, I have this question, I've got this thing going on. How many cards are in play that feel like and look like they're in a place of balance or imbalance? And this is another layer of advice. Like okay, where are we looking at in terms of an excess or deficiency in the virtues, or maybe my approach to a situation? And how do I get back to that sense of not too much and not too little? I think we don't really think about things like that anymore, but I think they're really interesting to think about and ponder and go, what am I missing here? And how do I get back to that golden mean? So without further ado, I'm going to walk you through my Justice guided meditation. So if you need to pause this, if you watch later and come back to it when you can, and you can be undisturbed for about 10 minutes, that would be great. So I'm going to get it started here. So first, what I'd like you to do is, get comfortable. Find a place on the floor or in a chair where you won't be distracted for the next few minutes. Turn off your notifications on your phone and ensure you won't be disturbed. Once you're comfortable, legs uncrossed, neither too hot nor too cold, begin to pay attention to your breath. We will take 3 very deep breaths together. Fully extending our diaphragms while keeping our shoulders still. And as you breathe in, imagine that each breath you are inhaling calm, relaxation, and focus. And as you breathe out, exhale stress, tension, and negativity. So let's breathe together. Just watching any place that holds tension. For me, it's always my jaw. Noticing the top of your scalp. Any tension up there, just release it. Just tell it to take a little vacation. your face, your jaw, your neck. Just wherever it feels tension, just gently ask it to release. Moving down into your shoulders, letting your shoulders drop. Following your arms, upper arm, lower arm to the tip of your fingers. Anywhere that feels tension, just ask it to release. Noticing any tension in your chest, letting that go. Moving down to your diaphragm and your stomach, letting, if you're holding it in, let it go. Noticing your posture. Noticing your butt on the chair or the floor or wherever you have it. Your hips, your thighs, your knees, your calves, your feet. Just let that tension of the day slowly melt off of you and just dissipate into the floor. And in your mind's eye, I'd like you to notice that you're standing at the edge of a cliff. Around you is desert, scrub, or savanna, and you can see the horizon in all directions. The sky is cloudless and perfectly blue, warm yet comfortable. At your feet is a tightrope that spans a canyon, ending about 30 feet away at what looks like a Greek temple, with tall marble columns, and at the top, there's 20 steps to get there. In the warmth of the desert day, this beautiful Greek marble temple is very cool and inviting and peaceful. But to get there, you have to step onto the tightrope. Feeling fully confident while working to maintain your balance, perhaps you have a bar, an umbrella, a cane. I want you to visualize yourself confidently moving along the tightrope, one step at a time. Notice that, except for the one foot on the rope, every other part of your body is embraced by air. Each muscle in your body is engaged in micro movements to maintain your balance. Balance is not a state or stasis, but rather a place of dynamic tension. Balance is a place you have to work to maintain. Feeling calm, confident, and centered, you make your way across the canyon. As you step onto the other side, you notice how much larger the temple appears now that you're closer. And it's utterly quiet. No one is around. However, you may notice a white owl watching you from the top of a pillar. You begin the climb up the cool steps to the top, and you see that the temple is actually a long hall bordered by more columns. Everything is marble. It's cool inside and still. As you walk down the hall, you begin to see and notice that there's a woman sitting on a throne. She wears long robes and she's blindfolded. Holding an upraised sword in one hand and a perfectly balanced scale in the other, you get the distinct feeling, though, that the blindfold does not impair her vision. As you reach her throne, you greet her, and she responds evenly. Ask her to tell you something about maintaining balance in your life. Give her a minute to respond. After you have listened to her answer, you notice a token in your pocket. This is a symbol of what you must give up in order to maintain your equilibrium. As you place your token in front of her, observe what, if anything, Lady Justice does or says. Once you have finished, turn around and begin to walk out of the temple, down the steps, and back to the tightrope. As you walk across the canyon, you feel even more confident, balanced, and stable than ever before. And you quickly make your way back to the other side. So I want you to come back to noticing your body, noticing your posture, noticing your breath here in this place, and quietly come back to yourself, opening your eyes when you're ready. And if you have some time, feel free to journal your experience with meeting justice. And if you feel called to do so, I would love to hear what she said to you in the comments, and also what was the token in your pocket. So that's it for today, my friends. That is the story of balance within tarot and the Justice guided meditation. I hope you have a great equinox. Bye.